what students at Sacred Art University think a concussion is.
I need to gather my thoughts.
I have not a clue. Like, or a bruise on your skull.
I think concussions are a bleeding in the brain.
Concussion is like a bruised brain.
Hitting your head on a tuba.
It's like a bruise in your head, on your brain.
Isn't it the like pressure on your brain and your brain swells or something?
It doesn't matter what a concussion is.
Oh, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
3.8 million concussions are reported in the United States every year. A concussion is basically termed in the medical field a mild traumatic brain injury. So what it basically is when your brain hits the inside of your skull, and it can be caused by a direct blow to the head. It can be caused by like a whiplash, just enough force to your head that your brain can move around and hit your skull.
Concussion last April playing rugby. I was table-topped and landed on the back of my head.
And I charged playing third base and hit the ball and it hit me square in the forehead.
One time when I was younger, I hit my head on the radiator.
I got a knee-on-knee center ice, did a little flip, landed on top of my head.
And I hit my head when my friend drove full speed over a speed bump.
A really big textbook fell on my head, an honors history textbook, from the top shelf of my locker.
I was diving for a ball and so was my friend, and we collided and I hit her in the back.
Some signs and symptoms of a concussion are dizziness being a huge one, headaches, nausea, vomiting, just not feeling like yourself, being very irritable, sleeping more or less than normal. There's a whole long list.
I was dizzy, couldn't look at, my eyes were closed, I couldn't look at the sun, or be in the sun. I don't remember about 2 hours of what happened afterwards.
Headaches that are persistent over a long period of time.
Possibly loss of memory. Disorientation.
A little dizzy, sensitive to light.
Knocked me unconscious. I woke up in the hospital with a massive headache and I really didn't know where I was or what happened.
I had a major headache that made me get sick.
I went to sleep and I actually threw up later that night.
I remember it hurt a lot, and I remember sleeping a lot for like 3 days. Like dizzy, and like I can't focus on a lot of things.
A little nauseous. It was kind of hard to keep balance. Sometimes I couldn't walk fast or anything for a little bit.
Athletic Training Association just released a position statement in 2014 on concussions, which states, a concussion isn't graded. A concussion is a concussion. It's not getting your bell rung, and you always don't have to lose consciousness. Less than 10% of all concussion cases result in a loss of consciousness. A concussion is a serious traumatic brain injury which shouldn't be taken lightly. It can affect your motor control and your mental status. If you show signs and symptoms that were previously stated in our video, please talk to your friends, your coaches, and your athletic trainers, and remember to speak up.
To prevent concussions in our athletes, we must make sure that they're wearing the proper equipment and that it's fitted correctly. We also must make sure we educate our teachers, parents, coaches, athletes, everyone involved with our athletes about concussions so they can recognize the signs and symptoms. We also must make sure that our athletes are taking baseline tests so we have something to compare to once they sustain a concussion. We also need to make sure we're following the proper return to play protocol to make sure that we aren't sending athletes back into play who aren't fully healed. If we send an athlete back into play that hasn't fully recovered from a concussion, they may sustain more serious injuries. What's missing a few games today when compared to a long and healthy life?
That's what a concussion is. When you and I collide.